Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? It is Monday, end of the month. Only got two more, and this year is history, baby. You don't believe in time travel? Well, how about time distillation? Can you believe that? Hello, everyone. Jamma, good to see you. Ellen, good to see you. Robin, Jamie, Ice Station Z, good to see you. Plower, hello. Rachel, good to see you. Um, so, saw a question in the chat room. And hello, Jaguar Spirit. Greetings to you. Um, Ellen, good to see you. Ellie, good to see you as well. Rick Moore, hello. Warrior Princess, how are you doing? Lois, send me an email. For some reason, I can't find your email in my address book. Got some things I want to share. And by the way, since Warrior Princess is here, Friday night, we're going to have her on. We're going to do a fundraiser for her kitchen pantry. Since there's a legal thing, you can't call it anyway. And we're already raising money. So, Lois, please, well, if you can just send that to me, or we'll have to go back and look at it again. I think I can commit that to memory. Nick, good to see you. Cheesesteak 22, hello. I love Beethoven. Dun, 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 dun. Good to see you. So someone said in the chat room, what is your opinion? And remember, we defined opinion here as something that lies between ignorance and knowledge. So whichever side of the fence you want on that one. What do you think about Christ's return? Well, the only thing I can say is which one? There never was a real person crucified to what everyone thinks the story just didn't happen. Hi, Claudette. How are you doing? Good to see you. Lost in Space. Hello. How are you? Sarah K. How are you? Good to see you. So, I'm at that point where pick and choose your own path. In one way or another, they're all leading to somewhere. Was in a conversation. Hey, Gary, good to see you. Brian, hello. Eyes to see that, and you can see it in the chat room. We were exchanging thoughts back and forth, and all paths are going to eventually lead to the same place. If you go by the conceptual construct that everything leads back to God. I don't use God. I choose to call the infinite being the all. But anyway, so most doctrines and beliefs believe that it all originated from one and everything's source will end up going back. So if you take that out to its logical conclusion, really doesn't matter which path you're on. You're still going to end up in the same place. And I think that's one of the things we have to begin to reprogram our thinking about. There is no one certain path. That's ridiculous to believe that. Now, there can be, I'm sure, probably in the same region, many paths. And maybe there are, in fact, many different regions. I believe that probably is most likely the case. But think about it. You're an individual. Hey, Suji, how you doing? Hypnotherapy Pixie, hello, good to see you. So, Elise, good to see you. Think about that. To those who are spiritually bound to, another person, here we call it, marriage. Marriage is that commitment to one person. And there is a spiritual component to that. No matter how close you are, no matter how many years you are to another person, there is still that sanctuary, that partition, that sanction area that no spirit can transgress. It's just how we are. Now, maybe in the next realm, who knows? I don't know. But anyway, there you go. I just don't see how there can be a single path anymore. It's ludicrous when you think about it. One of the things for myself, as you head into a direction, you begin to understand that a direction is just merely a term that allows the human consciousness to have a point of reference as to what motion actually is defined as. You can say, well, I'm going forward, I'm advancing. The direction in my life is going. In fact, that's an excellent metaphor. I found my life going, and you fill in the blanks. Because in one sense, that's what we all have done. But I dare say no one has walked the same path that you have. It's your experience. It's your created reality. I mean, that's what this is about. So let me get right into it, because I think that I had this discussion yesterday, and people, I always love that. You look down at 3 thumbs down, you go, but wait a minute, I didn't even say anything. It just goes to show you that's where, you question, well, then why are you here? But we know why we're here. And actually, this is a good exercise. When someone counters what your perception is, welcome them. It's cool. It really is. I can't control anyone's destiny or reality. And this discussion I had with a group was on the revelation that they apparently went to church and apparently challenged the pastor to prove me wrong. I've contended, and shall forevermore, the biggest deception each spirit being that has being born into the rite of birth passage. And by the way, I forgot to hit the record button. We were over in Jeff's channel for the Not the Normal Sunday Morning Show, and he didn't hit his. And so if you want to see it, go over there. I think we're going to start switching up once a week ever so, to get it the variety. So anyway, the point is this: we're God's. It's the only reason for you being here, unless you're not a human spirit. Then you have another mission, but I don't know what that would be. But in any case, so we have a very astute group that they went back and looked in their Bible, and I keep telling you, it's in there. If you take the Hebraic faith, Judaism, it's written in their law, have I not called you gods? In the Christian dogma and theology, it's the same thing that was written in John 10:20. And I can give you multiple other references throughout. And it's almost embedded in the thought of every religion. We are gods. You know, I didn't write it. It's just when the Rhema begins and if you're allowed to live days, not years, think about your life in days. I'm over 23,000 days old. Now, if the quality of life and if I still have something yet to do here, I hope to live 30,000 days. But nevertheless, I have been here 23,000, and I can give you the number, but I've learned a few things. Gives you a chance to read a lot. Gives you a lot of chance to look inward. I think one of the best gifts that tells me that I do have divine favor on my life is the fact that I've been given long life. And a long life enough to begin to do serious introspection on some things. And you have this lifetime of experience to weigh everything against. Every word that's written, every book that's been out published, thought, philosophy, religion, politics, social. I mean, you get to experience those things. And so it gives you the advantage to those who die young. They never knew. And I think, as you will see today, this is going to be thought-provoking, folks. Guarantee it. Because I know, listen, I wrote this to my empathic fellow sojourners. You empaths, us empaths, there's things happening to us. We are changing, and we've got to become even more discerning and disciplined in the empathic gifts, the gifts of the thought, of the mind. It's just the way it is. Listen, I saw yesterday something that I said, oh, crap. How many of you have seen the new Verizon commercial in 5G? Has anyone seen that commercial yet? I've been binging on Wayne's videos. Nick, you deserve a medal for that one, brother. I guess Purple Heart. True Heart Living. By the way, I want to get you on, so please send me. I have your email, but the best way to do it is to get it back into the queue. So, hey, Winston, good to see you. Check out the new Verizon commercial. Seriously. Welcome to 5G, everybody. Oh, yeah. We're going to be in a place that is kind of like Wonderland, Oz, probably name a few more in there. But things are changing. We're changing. And those of you who are feeling the change the most, you know what I am talking about. So think about this, folks. Why are you here? The most fundamental question that has haunted the thoughts of man through all the annals of our written record, our passed on memories, the pictographs, the language that was never spoken. Why are you here? It cannot be to bow down to some unseen faithless God. And I did say faithless. Folks, get it in your heads. There is no God out there that has manifested itself to man other than you. Show me a God. Every God lives in here. And the only God that has ever manifested to humankind, what we would call God-man, is us. Now, I know that, well, I'm telling you what, I just heard that the voices are talking, folks. Got to tell you a little story what happened on Friday about the American Indian chant that was caught. Yeah. So, so let's check this out. Because I think we just need to have a conversation to set it. So the copyright disclaimer, yada, yada, yada. And this is so typical because of the type of society that we have always lived. We've lived in a litigious society from way back. So God's in training, boot camp. I think this will answer for probably some, who knows, maybe it might be a seed that will yet to germinate, but we're God's in training. This is boot camp. Any way you look at it. I'm going to read something later that will bring this into focus. So here's the deal, folks. You are a God. Straight up. You are a God. But your kingdom will not just be given you. There are those who fulfilled what their purpose was that died at a very early age. And they inherited their kingdom. And there's those who've lived long days that have sadly did not inherit their kingdom. Now there's more to that, but your name is a God name. It's the thing that Hermetic teaches. The all is in the all. And the all is the all. Your name is a God name. It's what I keep on telling you, folks. Quit cursing your name. What you're doing is giving permission to the other gods to curse your name. And when the spirits find out that you've given other gods permission, they will take the liberty. And that's why so many people live on what we would call a bad sign. Bad things happen to. Guarantee if you could go back and look at the record, they have actually invoked the very thing that they're harvesting. And it gets deep. I listen, I know. Here's the deal. Your spirit guide, and if you haven't recognized that you have one, you need to. Don't go to the other side and have to answer to that spirit guide. And your spirit guide is but one of many that are training you gods. I'm a God. I'm in training. When it finally dawned on me, you'd be surprised how all of it makes sense. And your spirit guide is there to push you beyond your limits. So often people quit. They just simply shake their head. It's a dishonor to them, but more importantly, it's a dishonor to you. Each will teach you to how to prepare you for your kingdom. It's so embedded even in the Christian faith. You just have to read it. It's there. The Christos, the one who ever wrote the word, and you can see the Hermetic principles through all there, said it right there in black and white. The kingdom of God is in you. You. And if you read the story, he reprimands even his own devotees, his inner circle. He said, would you quit looking for the physical manifestation? It ain't going to happen. It's in you. And your spirit guide does not work alone. The more you begin to acknowledge your trainers and give them the respect that they're due, you're going to find things in your life turning around. I don't have a problem with dark forces. I don't have a problem with what they call evil spirits. They don't come here. They come around me. And they shouldn't be coming around you. And if they are, you need to take control. You got to learn that you can have love, you can have favor, kindness, compassion, all of that. But you also have to learn to stand your ground. It's just the way it is. I didn't invent it. I live in it. And those of us who, as we look back on life, have walked a road fraught with what always seem to be unfortunate circumstances, events, happenings in families, in lovers' relationships, children to parents, person to God. This life will bloody you. We all know it. We've all lived it. As I wrote to someone today, betrayal is the worst thing. But we've all betrayed others. Your test is to excel with the others of our kind. The gods of your class. There are different classes, different grades, different kinds, different types of gods. Do you think that the universe is so finite that what? If you believe in monotheism, I could debate you most excellently on polytheism. I could debate you on nothing theism. The fact is, I am a God. And when I pass through the veil, I will be assigned and put into the same class and grade of others of my experience level. Those who fail, they never fail per se. They will go down into other regions that basically match their frequency, their vibration, their knowledge. And then there's those who just simply, well, we'll talk about that. Here's the deal. How can you command legions, billions, if you can't command yourself? If you can't command the ether world, those beings that exist in both planes, those spirits, those angels, that seem to be able to sway fortune, favor, good things. You know, like going to the grocery store and always finding that parking space closest to the door. Always. Or going into a restaurant where I never have to be concerned about the air blowing on me. How many of you have ever experienced it? Have you ever sat into a booth? Or how about the chair that they put you in? And it can be 110 degrees outside, but I'll guarantee you after about 15 minutes, you're not there enjoying a meal anymore. You're in an endurance test. Y'all know what I mean? It gets right back down to this. How are the spirits going to respect you and your command if you don't command them here? And you don't have to be going making deals with them. Those that do, woe unto them. It's not how it's supposed to work. It does work. You can invoke very powerful forces. But they want something from you, and you don't want to give up what they want. There are spells and incantations right now that can bring you money into your house, but you don't want to go there. You don't. I want to be at the top of my class. When my time is done here, when I have fulfilled my purpose, I want to be at the top of my class. And I'm going to need the help of those spirit beings, no doubt, on the other side. We all are. And they're learning from you. They know you're a God. That's why they envy you. That's why they marvel. So here's kind of basically what I see as what you need to begin to master here. Now, this list is not in any particular order. It's just there. Emotions. Now, you think about it. All of us have lived many lifetimes here. Now, we can relive the moments that we cannot remember by those who are at that stage of life where we can't hold those memories. Some of us can. But the fact is, every toddler, I remember the flight that I was on from New York to Denver, United, and all of us learned, even in first class, the power of what one three-year-old can invoke upon a group of people held hostage at 33,000 feet by the tyrannical rampage of one 3-year-old little Jimmy. Yeah, there were thoughts of what we could do. There were even conversations amongst the flight crew as to what could be done with this emotional powder keg. And by the time you get to 90, you should have your emotions in check. And I say 90 because I don't even know that. I mean, you think about, If you can master your emotions, you are a master, folks. Congratulations. Body. Now, for the first 2 years of all of our existence, those first 2 years are really learning to, well, mastering, it may not be the right word, but figure out how the operator's manual works. Because what we find out about the body is that it does have a mind of its own. That's the thing that evades us for most of our lives, is that we are tri-union beings. And you can see I wrote tri-union thoughts. It's the biggest challenge in virtually everyone's life, is how to live in balance with the triune being. You, me, we're gods. It may be that only triune beings can be gods. Physical senses. Think about this one. I mean, there are those senses that are like automatic, but there are some that aren't so automatic. It trains discipline. One that we all have to learn and master, not wetting the bed. Think about it. It's the body's natural function to want to relieve pressure. And so it's a thing, and this is where, if you get this, you're going to get a golden nugget today. You had to teach your subconscious how to discipline itself when you were absent of the mind. And thus, you eventually get to the point to where your body will then, through subconscious, bring back conscious mind so you can get up in the middle of the night, etc. It's one of the most basic functions, and we don't even think about the grandeur of it. Triune thoughts. This is the greatest debate that all of us have amongst ourselves. The more aware you become, the more this becomes dominant in your life. You begin to realize who all the players are, and each wants its voice to be heard. And when spirit begins to take ascendancy in the hierarchy, a lot of times there's a mutiny. And this can manifest itself in many different ways: drug use, addictions, sexual addictions, food addictions, smoking addiction. I mean, you can just go right on through it. Addiction to shoes. I mean, I'll pay for that one later. But in any case, words. For nearly 5 weeks, I've been teaching on how to control your words, your written words, your thought words, your spoken words. There's that triune factor again. You should begin to learn how to master the basic elements. And so often we do this in our normal careers, those that what we do, whether it's to make a living or for those things that are natural talents that bring money to us. And if you're a carpenter, that's a natural talent. Money will come to you, things that you need because of that talent, nursing skill, whatever it is. You manifest a certain mastery over the elements. Every profession has that. I'm sure that it will eventually be defined in the digital age as well. And then the last one, entities. I dare say this is one that most fail at. Because until you can begin to master the spirits, the unseen, and then begin to discern the other gods and show respect, but also begin to take authority. And I guess if you don't learn it here, there will be in the next plane, probably, who knows? I don't know, maybe another opportunity to do just that. I don't know. The most important thing that I have been shown myself, and if you can do this, you've passed. The most important thing for you to master is your free will. How readily are you willing to forgive, to forget? How willing are you to sacrifice an urge that you may be dutifully right to? How many times? And you can just go on and on with that list. How have you mastered your own free will? You see, this is one of the elements that I do believe only gods possess. I think the rest of the spirits, I think they, I don't think they have free will. Think about it. You must begin to know and understand the spirits, and you must challenge, and this is important. Someone needs to hear this because you've been living under a lot of guilt and condemnation. You're here. You don't know why, but you're here. You're listening to this, and you're struggling. But here's the challenge, and this is for everyone else listening. You must challenge any spirit, any God who has a charge against you to bring it forth. Many of you live with a sin complex. You can't get rid of it. Many who are awaking, trying to figure it out. Folks, if there's anything in your life, your spirit life, you have the legal right and authority to make demand on any spirit or God to bring forth the charge. But you're going to have to speak it out. Literally. Speak it out and challenge any spirit to bring a charge against you. I hope you're listening. Any spirit you challenge them, you'll see what happens. And then as I close out on this part, remember, all of the existing gods that have transcended, have moved on to other planes, all were once like you and me. Every one of them. Think about it. That's the purpose for your life. Otherwise, it's all in vain. What good is it? So, there you go. No one showed up. Alfred, exactly. That is my point. No one showed up for me either. Now, I was doing this during a ceremony this morning, a cleansing ceremony, butt ass naked. So that's how I'm going over there. I love this body of mine. It's the most far out thing I know of. Are you kidding me? I'm more in love with my body than I am more anything else because it's been a faithful companion. It's never betrayed me. It's been faithfully there, allowing me to experience this plane because the spirit realm can't. They can intermingle, but that's the privilege of the flesh. So you see, and we'll get back tomorrow. We're going to be studying more about gender because gender plays an important role as being gods. It allows us to have that perspective that each of us have because of the gender that we were born into. Single blind female. Well, thank you. Well, think that's very kind of you. Sometimes when you walk down the path, it happens. Now, we had Chance on Friday night. What I told you it was going to be special, and what a time of revelation. I mean, you have compassion on a spirit like that has been able to take a path, seeing it for himself, and coming forth with the wisdom that he did. Now, I want to share something with all of you because I think that, and I had his permission to do this as well. This is a gentleman. This letter, by the way, was sent to Derek Bros. And I was just moved by it, folks. He writes that he says, I'd like to start by saying thank you for taking the time to read this email. I just wanted to share my experience with you and hope that you have the time and desire to entertain my story. Well, we are. We're all going to hear your story. I have these moments in my life that I couldn't make heads or tails of until recently, and some are still a blur. Let me start by saying I was raised in a non-denominational Christian home. From my earliest memories, I can only remember shame and guilt and broken hopes. My brother was handicapped. He had spinal bifida, and some of the memories that come to the front of most are those that our family going to church multiple times a week so that the pastor and the elders could lay hands on my brother in the name of Jesus in hopes of him standing up from his wheelchair and sprinting around the church while everyone stood in awe and cheered at the marvels of our God. Needless to say, my brother passed away a few years ago at the age of 42, still bound in his deformed earthly body that required the assistance of a wheelchair until the moment of his death. I always wondered how a God so merciful and mighty could be so distant and care so little about the very creation that he supposedly loves so much. As a teenager, I dabbed in, I guess, what people would say the dark side of spirituality. I never really fully believed in any of it. I was just exercising rebellion towards my parents and the system of religion that I had come to loathe. As I grew into a man, I turned my back on religion and empty promises of healing and righteousness. I went on to college, got married, had a child of my own, and just blocked the idea of God out altogether. After I graduated college, I started my career as a registered nurse, and everything seemed to be going along great in my life. The marriage fell apart, and we went through a very tumultuous divorce. I caught my wife leaving a bar with another man and was falsely charged with attempted second-degree murder. Needless to say, my life was turned upside down from this point on. I lost my license to practice nursing, and it devastated me. And my whole identity was wrapped in my accomplishments, achievements, and everything I had acquired. I felt all was lost. I turned to a life of drugs and alcohol. My drug abuse intensified to the point that I am still astonished to have returned from. I became heavily involved with IV opiates and manufacturing and abusing methamphetamines, and it sent me on a course I am on to this day. After a few years of drug abuse, multiple stays in rehabilitation centers to no avail, and felony arrest, my family had all but given up all hope. I was at a drug associate's house one night, and we had just finished making a batch of meth, and the last thing I remember was falling asleep on the couch. I woke up because I felt as if the couch was shaking, and when I came to, I was spinning down the median of the interstate at high speeds about 20 miles from where I remember sitting on the couch. Yeah, but that was disconcerting. The car came to a stop, and I was facing in the correct direction, completely startled and confused, with a large bag of dope in my hand. I was so freaked out and began to drive straight home. While driving, I called my associate, and he said that I stood up from the couch and began speaking in some strange language, and that he was scared and asked me to leave. But I had seemed like I was alert and conscious when I left. I was so frightened. When I got home, there was a dark figure that appeared to me. He was part man and part animal, standing between my car and the door of my house. I remember his name clearly to this day. He said his name was Moloch Amon Akron Alu Shok. I ran past him into the house and woke up my roommate to a trembling fear. It scared me so much that I decided that I didn't want to use drugs anymore and started on a road of recovery. It didn't happen overnight, but I was scared enough to initiate a change. I moved in with my parents and stuck my head in the Bible, renouncing Satan as I knew him and asking for forgiveness. The name I heard that night didn't make any sense, but it does now, and I had never heard anything like this before. I became heavily involved with church and studying the Bible and books on demonology, and found that this creature's name was composed of multiple evil spirits' names. One night, as I was reading the Bible, another religious book, a voice spoke to me and said that Jesus, the man in Christianity as we knew it, was the true Antichrist. I felt as if someone took the breath out of me. I felt immense fear and turmoil, but at the same time felt liberation. I couldn't explain it. I kept these things to myself in fear of someone finding out, and resigned myself to the idea that Satan had taken over my life and I was doomed. I still managed to get clean from drugs and practiced all the tenets of the Alcohol Anonymous with a God that I understood was just a power greater than myself. I think what got me clean was my service to others at the time. Eventually, I left AA and managed to stay clean. I continued to read the Bible and other religious texts. I began to find little things in the Bible, like Paul giving the attributes of love in the Corinthians, stating how love is never jealous. The book of Peter says that God is love, but then finding in Exodus that the God is a jealous God, finding that Isaac meant he laughs, Jacob meant grasped by the heel, and Israel means he wrestled with God. Everything I knew became unraveled. Over the next 10 years, I searched and searched over religious and other doctrines. However, I always felt emptiness and a longing for truth. I knew that the spirit world was very real, but couldn't and maybe wouldn't find the truth. I even went so as far as to travel to other parts of the world and participate in psychedelic rituals of indigenous people, like the Anasaska ceremonies in Peru. I only found dead end after dead end, one letdown after another. I even tried to do the Warrior's Way King's Challenge, only to find it was a money racket and they didn't give two shits about me or my life. A couple of weeks ago, I felt as if I had exhausted all avenues. And over the last few months, I turned to taking pills and alcohol again and had given up all hope. I was driving to work one morning and I noticed there were two suns. I thought it was lens flare, but I knew it wasn't. I didn't think anything else about it. Later that day, I stumbled across a video of you and Jeff, and you spoke of the same thing that I had witnessed that very morning, then watched another synchronicity. I began watching more and more videos and found resonance in the message in all the moments I had experienced to this point concerning God and Christ. I left work that day once again feeling as if the wind had been taken out of me, but in a different way. I realized whom I had been serving the whole time and how I was caught in this system of destruction. The blow that knocked me down this time was the instant and overwhelming compassion and sorrow I felt for my fellow man being caught up in this web of deceit, something I had never experienced before. Now that I have the truth, now that it has been staring me in the face and calling me for a long time, I just don't know how to proceed from here. The battling voice in my head that I have always tried to differentiate of which is God, rather was neither of them, and the still voice spoke up loud and clear from the center of my being. It is so much to take it all in at once, and I'm confused as to what my part is from here. Well, I can tell you, Jeremy, your part is to realize that you're a divine being. And folks, you can go on to say that as he written out that this is a person that you just have to have a great deal of respect, much just like Chance. And there's so many others. We got lots of emails from that, folks, just lots and lots of emails. That was a message that struck so many of us as we hadn't considered before. There's deep truth in that. And I went so far as to do research in beginning to look at what most pharmaceuticals are actually structured on. And the most prominent compound is alkaline to salt, derivatives thereof. Maybe something for us to think about. So, Jeremy, we salute you. You are one among us. As I wrote him back. I said, well, here's the thing. Jeremy, you met this deity. It faced you face to face, scared the crap out of you, but it didn't impede you on your path. Now, I contend if there's anything evil out there that struck or strikes another human, you have the power, but you have to know who you are to send that spirit being into a place that the spirits don't speak of. We can. They don't. And every human has the power and the authority to send them to that place. That place is oblivion. You see, even the Christos message talked about a second death. There is something that's even beyond the spirit realm that can experience death. And so all of you people that are having any problem with such negative energy in your life, you have the path now to begin to how to dominate them. Most that I sense all bow to me. I don't like that. I feel very uncomfortable about it. But then again, they're in awe of you as well. They're in awe of us. We live this. We get to do this that they don't. So anyway, there you go. We're going to get the master of this thing. We still got a long ways to go, but I'm telling you, it works. Like speaking out your name. And many of you are figuring this out. When you begin to have that initial rush of that energy that infills you when you speak out your name, invoking it 3 times, and there's power in 3s. You know, it's just the way it is. And it announces you. And they begin to pick up on that. As I was shown, there's great celebration. There's so many spirits pulling for you. They really are. Most have been waiting for you to give them the command. Most of you won't. Most will take more faith in chance and luck than to take command of what is rightfully theirs, yours. And when the day comes and you realize that this is not BS, this is not some doctrine, it's not some dogma, theology, philosophy, it's just reality. And when you realize that you have at your command, I was shown a number that most of us can't imagine. All the gods started where we are, folks. No one gets a shortcut. Just doesn't work that way. Tonight we got Dr. Albers. Looking forward to it, folks. I got pictures from Brazil. One that was just sent to me. I'll let you be the judge of it. I know Dr. Albers is going to love this. She's written a number of papers, and we just know that things are going on. Things will be happening. And this is part of it. I mean, if in fact, if things begin to change so radically in the heavens, where other people begin to get unnerved, you'll be able to transcend this. You will be that island of where people will rush to, because you're going to have that overwhelming sense of peace, serenity, calmness. You should realize right now that death is nothing more but a doorway. That's all it is. And I'll give you a sneak peek on what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. I'm going to show you, those of you who deal with the sin issue, how you can forever forget about that. And then you get to move on. If they didn't bring charge against you, guess what? Take your position. All right, folks. Thank you all. Y'all are just the best. My blessing, I just invoke favor upon all of you. And I thank you for enriching my journey. Many of you have filled me with such fond memories that the energy of that alone it sustains me. It allows me to continue to push on, and I know it will be an energy that I'll draw upon even as we all transverse to the other side of the veil. All right. Thank you, all the moderators. Y'all are just so good, and I appreciate everyone. And thank you, Ellen. That's very kind of you. So, folks, be good to yourself. Many of you love yourself more than you have at any time in your life. And I'll tell you, your relationship with the Creator, the Source, God, is becoming much more richer, deeper, more meaningful. And that's part of the journey. So, all right, folks, we will see you later. All right, be good to yourselves. Bye-bye.